Meeting of the Capital Long Range Improvements Committee will now begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Strand. I am the chair of the Capital Long Range Improvements Committee. Before we begin, I'd like to note that this meeting includes the remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota statutes, section 13D.021, due to the declared local health pandemic. I will now call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll so that we may verify the presence of a quorum.
Thorbjorn Adam. Thorbjorn Adam. John Bernstein.
Here.
Steve Brandt.
Here, but unable to get in on my computer. Told me I was in the waiting room.
James Brown.
Here.
Luke Cunningham.
Yep. Here.
Sonia DeGarmo.
Here.
Scott Engel.
Here.
Amity Foster.
Here.
William Gullickson.
Here.
Risa Hustad.
Here.
Katie Jones.
Here.
Matt Kazinka.
Here.
Richard LaRue.
Rich LaRoe here.
Erica Mouter.
Here.
Dan McConnell.
Here.
Let's see. Dan Miller.
Here. Here.
George Montague.
Here.
Beth Toso.
Here.
Todd Schumann.
Here.
Eric Wan.
Here.
Vice Chair Willie Bridges.
Here.
Chair Jeff Strand.
Here.
Neil Thor is also here. He has dialed in. So please
Okay.
mark Thor is here.
So, that is 22 present. Quorum is established.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. With that, we will proceed to our agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's legislative information management system, otherwise known as LIMS, which is available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. When we have a motion and a second, it'd be great for the clerk and the public if members would state their name as after the motion and then again after the second. So I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda and accept the March 31st minutes. And again, please state your name and do so after the motion and second.
So
Eric,
moved.
Eric Wan moves to adopt the minutes.
George Montague will second.
That's for the agenda and minutes, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any discussion on the or amendments to the agenda or minutes? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Thorbjorn Adam. Thorbjorn Adam. John Bernstein.
Aye.
Steve Brandt.
Aye.
Brown. James Brown.
Aye.
Luke Cunningham.
Aye.
Sonia DeGarmo.
Aye.
Scott Engel.
Aye.
Amity Foster.
Aye.
William Gullickson.
Aye.
Risa Hustad.
Aye.
Katie Jones.
Aye.
Matt Kazinka.
Aye.
Richard LaRue.
Aye.
Erica Mouter.
Aye.
Dan McConnell.
Aye.
Dan Miller.
Aye.
George Montague,
Aye.
Beth Toso,
Aye.
Todd Schumann,
Here.
Eric Wan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Willie Bridges,
Aye.
Chair Jeff Strand.
Aye.
So that's 21 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We are at the agenda item number 4, new member introductions. So can everyone see their screen that's being shared? Why don't we just go through and have new members introduce themselves to the returning members on the committee, and vice versa.
Hey, Jeff, this is John Bernstein. Can I suggest that we all introduce each other since the new members don't know us?
Yeah.
Probably a good idea. Is there unanimous consent? Without objection, let it be so. Why don't we start with new members, though, who we have a list there.
Are you asking us to go from
Yes,
the top of the list down?
Yeah, top of the list down, members.
Okay, sorry, I was waiting for a button on my microwave to stop beeping, so I apologize. My name is Jake McCormick. I live in Ward 1. Do you want me to like include anything else interesting about my, like, I don't know if you want to do like an icebreaker or what?
Of course, probably a
Maybe.
2-minute introduction.
Okay. Well, I'm actually a transplant to Minneapolis from Madison, Wisconsin. I've been living actually in Ward 1 for probably 7-8 years now. My wife and I bought a house here, and we have a 5-year-old as well. And I work in digital marketing. I actually work at Kimberly-Clark, so Kleenex, Viva, Towels, Scott, Bath, and Cottonelle as well. But yeah, happy to be here and be involved. One correction is there's actually a C between the I and the K in my last name. And I go by Jake or Jacob. I'm cool with either.
Okay. MC capital CORMICK.
Yep.
Very good. How about Beth Toso, Ward 2?
Hello, everyone. I'm Beth Toso. I've been in Ward 2, lived in Ward 2 for about 11 years, lived in Minneapolis. I'd have to do a little math, 25, 30 years, something like that. A large part of my adult life. Professionally, I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, though I do live in Minneapolis. So I do a lot of budgeting and all of this sort of thing in my work life as well. But I thought this would be an interesting way to get involved in the working with the city, and that I love so much. So that's my background.
Thanks, Beth. Zachariah Aiden?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zach Aiden. I go by Zach as well. Lived in Ward 3 for most of my life, born and raised in the Botany neighborhood, currently living in the Sheridan neighborhood. Currently work in baking strategy for Accenture, so doing a lot of work in the digital marketing space, as well as some technology implementations for large commercial banks. Was interested in, signed up for this committee just to kind of get involved in city politics and kind of give back in some way, shape, or form, especially after moving back late last year, back from LA. So excited to join the team.
Thank you. Welcome. Erica Motter, Ward 6, returning member.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Erica, she, her. I am currently Ward 6 appointee. This is my second stint on Click, previously as a mayoral appointee and Ward 11 resident. And what else is interesting about me? I don't know. I work at Move On. I send text messages for Move On in my day job. And yeah, that's it. I missed Click while I was gone. I had to leave for capacity reasons, but this is actually a lot of fun and also a very important way to contribute. So excited to be back.
Thanks, Erica. James Brown, Ward 8.
Hello. Hopefully you can hear me.
Good.
It's a little bit loud where I am here. I'm outside because inside I'm remodeling a restaurant in St. Paul. So I'm a owner of Flow Diner on East Lake Street. So I built the diner and I run the diner. Yeah, and I wanted to get involved. I don't know, try to do something good, I guess, and help in any way that I can. So I have like more of a small business background, and that's really my world. And what else can I say? Yeah, I'm opening a restaurant during the pandemic because I'm a glutton for punishment. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, James. Matt Kazinka, Ward 9.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Matt Kazinka. I live in the Corcoran neighborhood, have been in my home there for about 9 years. Really love it. I professionally work for the Lake Street Council, which is works with small businesses like James's throughout the entire Lake Street corridor. So we cut through a lot of different council wards, and the work I do with them is pretty varied. I've done a lot of work around energy efficiency and recycling and transportation in the corridor, and try to get involved in projects to improve transit and bike and walking and systems around the Lake Street corridor. So that's a big part of my interest is how I'm excited to learn more about how these city systems work that so deeply impact those and decisions that get made around those. I have a lot to learn, so I'm excited about that. I've more recently been doing a lot of work on the recovery effort around Lake Street businesses, been managing our grant programs to deploy resources to businesses to help them be able to stay open and get through this. And then one other thing I'll say is I served for the last 5 years on the Minneapolis Energy Vision Advisory Committee, or EVAC, which is just another committee that has done a lot around sort of energy. How do we transform energy and efficiency and renewables in the city and guide the partnership between Minneapolis, Xcel Energy, and CenterPoint Energy. So I'm excited to be in a different committee and get a different perspective on how these things work. Thanks.
Thanks for your work, Matt. Welcome. Risa Husted.
Hi, all. I am Risa Husted. I am the new rep for Ward 11. In my day job, I sell bike parts, and I'm primarily a transportation and environmental justice advocate.
Thank you. Luke Cunningham, Ward 12.
Yeah, hi. Luke Cunningham here, Ward 12. I live in the Erickson neighborhood, like near Lake Hiawatha. Just moved here last July, actually, from the Bay Area. My wife and now 2.5-year-old lived in Oakland, where I worked in tech, and I now am working on building a business sourcing and supplying PPE at the state and local level, which has been very interesting, as you can imagine. And I found out about Click. I got involved by reaching out to my council member, Andrew Johnson, when I moved here, and just said, hey, I'm new to the area, wanted to learn more, and here I am. Psyched to be here.
Thanks, Luke.
Yep.
Richard LaRoe. Is that correct, Richard?
Yep. Richard or Rich or Rick. They're all good. I also lived in the Bay Area for 20 years. I grew up here in Brooklyn Park and moved back 3 years ago. I had a job at Medtronic doing IT work. I'm a biochemist by training, and worked in high tech in San Francisco, as I said, for about 20 years. What else? That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Welcome. George Montague, mayoral appointee.
Yep. Hi, everybody. George Montague here. I live in Ward 7 and have been in the Twin Cities for about 11 years, although we left for a couple years for an assignment to London. I had also moved from California back in 2010. I've spent time both in the Bay Area and in LA. Like a lot of you, just looking, and how I can give back and contribute to the community here. Long time executive in primarily finance and operations for medical and IT companies, and at this point advising startups primarily in the med tech space on their financial and commercialization plans. But glad to be a part of this committee.
Thanks, George. Welcome. Sonia DeGarmo, mayoral appointee.
Hi, I grew up on the East Coast and with my husband moved here 20 years ago for him to take a job here. And we thought we'd be here for a couple of years and it's been 20 years. I have an undergraduate degree in architecture as well as an MBA. And our kids went to public school here where I was heavily involved in PTA and a neighborhood environmental project back in 2008 and 9, at which point we moved to New Mexico for 6 years, where I was involved in the Albuquerque Youth Symphony Orchestra, and then back here in 2015. The kids are grown now, and I'd like to give back to the community in a way that utilizes both my architectural background and my finance background. And we are heavy users of the parks, the bike paths, local businesses, and I strongly believe in creating a built environment that supports and promotes good communities.
Thank you. Welcome. I think now we'll move to the returning members. I will do my best to not miss anyone. Let's start with Dan Miller.
Okay, here we go. Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is my second term on Click, and I live in the Wyndham Park neighborhood. I've been here for a long, long time. And 5 years ago, I retired from the Science Museum where I was an exhibit production manager. Since that time, I've been active in my neighborhood, Wyndham Park, as a board member of the neighborhood organization, and no longer, but at one time. And have also been involved with the parks. I'm a member of the Minneapolis BAC, the Bicycle Advisory Committee. And probably the best thing that I do, hopefully to return after our pandemic is under control, is to go up to my local elementary school, Pillsbury, and to help coach kids on bikes. So Pillsbury Pride, let's ride. That's how it goes.
Thanks, Dan. Thor Bjorn Adam.
Yeah, I go by Thor.
Thor, okay.
But either way, it's less of a mouthful. And I don't carry the hammer with me all the time. I fix things that people break, and I live in the Ventura Village neighborhood, and I've served on that board for many years. Yeah, glad to be participating here.
Excellent. John Bernstein.
Hi, John Bernstein. I believe this is my 15th year on the committee. I represent Ward 7. I spent 6 years on my neighborhood board way back at the early part of the century, and got to know my council member that way, and she asked me to serve on Click and never looked back. I'm the current chair of the Transportation Task Force. What else about me? I grew up in the New York area, came out here to go to Carleton College, and I'm still waiting on my exit visa 40 years later. I'm an investment management guy, and like some of the others, I'm now a small business owner. I broke off from that and running my own personal financial advisory business. Started that about a year or so ago. That's it. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, John. Steve Brandt.
Hi, Steve Brandt here. Just got into the meeting and apparently without video, I'm not sure. I am a retired Star Tribune reporter. I did that for 40 years. I live in the Kingfield neighborhood. This is my 5th year on Click. I served a couple terms on my neighborhood board, currently a candidate for the Board of Estimate and Taxation.
Thanks, Steve. Vice Chair Willie Bridges.
Hi, I'm Willie Bridges. I've been on the board probably about almost 9 to 12 years. I work at Hennepin County Attorney's Office. I'm the senior planning analyst and I do our diversion program. And I also started a victim witness program in the juvenile division. And I was a lobbyist for crime victims' rights. I've been past president of Phil Regina Northrop neighborhood. I'm involved with family enhancement program that deals with kids who've been abused. Welcome new members.
Thanks, Willie. Scott Engel.
Yeah, hi, I'm Scott Engel. I am the 12th Ward rep, the other one. I've been on for 1 year, so I must have filled a vacancy. So this is only my 2nd year on Click. I'm the executive coordinator for the South Uptown Neighborhood Association in South Minneapolis. I've previously participated on the Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and I recently just went off the Our Streets Minneapolis organization, which advocates for better walking and biking infrastructure. And I'm a blind person who is very interested in trying to make our infrastructure more accessible to all people.
Thank you, Scott. Amity Foster.
Hello, I'm Amity, she, her. I'm the Ward 3 rep. Zach, I'm also in Sheridan, so we should get coffee one of these days. I'm the data manager at Isaiah and Faith in Minnesota for my day job. I'm a big transit advocate, bus rider, so if you want to talk about public transit and funding and development, hit me up.
Thanks, Amity. William Gullickson, or Bill?
Good morning, everybody. It's morning where I am anyway. I think this is my 8th year on Click because I was also appointed to complete a term for a resident of Ward 7. My council member, Lisa Goodman, asked me to serve out the balance of a person who'd moved away. And I've been on the Click committee ever since. In a prior life, when I lived in Hopkins, I served on a number of different boards and commissions as well as the city council. So I had some familiarity with public finance and government before Lisa asked me to do this. And I'm retired and currently I'm residing in my winter home in Arizona.
Okay. Thanks. Welcome back. Katie Jones.
Hi, I'm Katie. My pronouns are she, her, and I think like a number of people who've talked about this, my way to Click was through my neighborhood association, just getting involved that way, and I think this is now my 6th year on Click. I'm a big transportation nerd, infrastructure nerd. I studied soil and water engineering, and so kind of like to look at projects through that lens, and as well as just accessibility lens, making sure that every place in our city is accessible and that we have good solid infrastructure, whether it's roads and bridges, and bike lanes and sidewalks, but also buildings and the water infrastructure that is one of the main components that we review as well. I currently work for an energy efficiency nonprofit with local governments on energy efficiency programs and policies, and so bring kind of that, so the energy lens to the buildings that we review as well. So excited to be here again.
Thanks, Katie. Dan McConnell.
Hey, I'm Dan McConnell. I'm a licensed electrician by trade and currently serve as the business manager of the Minneapolis Building Trades Council, where I represent about 14,000 skilled construction workers. Live in South Minneapolis in the Longfellow neighborhood.
Thank you, Dan. Welcome back. Todd Schumann.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Todd Schumann. I'm a mayoral appointee living in living in the Fulton neighborhood. This is my second term on the committee, and I'm actually an at-home parent. You'll sometimes hear my children in the background, so apologies for that in advance. But I wasn't getting enough Excel spreadsheets or budget requests in my day job, so I decided, what the heck, let's join the committee here. So was an engineer in a former life, which is probably why I'm missing those Excel spreadsheets. And I just really enjoy learning about all of the different departments and projects that we have running in the city, and I'm happy to be able to give back, hopefully, a somewhat unique perspective on a lot of the things that we're working on in the city here. So happy to be back and glad to meet everyone.
Thanks, Todd. Eric Wan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Eric Wan. This is my second term. I'm a mayoral appointee who lives in Ward 4 on the north side of Minneapolis. I retired from the federal government 7 years ago, and from Washington moved here to Minneapolis, and now live up in the middle of some of the most interesting neighborhoods I've been in. I started in the White House Budget Office under Jimmy Carter, got to work with Fritz Mondale, and worked on the government, retired from the Small Business Administration under President Obama, and I was the national director for entrepreneur performance there. Today, in my retirement, I do a lot of volunteer work. I am one of the leads in economic development for the Somali and Latino businesses on Lake Street. I also work as a volunteer with a group called Emerge, helping ex-gang members develop career pathways. That sort of fills my day. I've been the Human Development Task Force chair since Raya Ismaili, the previous chair, moved on to the Planning Commission. And I'm glad to be back.
Thanks, Eric. I think I've covered everyone except for myself.
Jeff, I believe there's one.
Did I miss anyone? Who did
Jeff,
I
this
miss?
is Robert jumping in.
Robert.
I believe Jocelyn Beard is also on the call.
Oh, okay. Terribly sorry. Jocelyn Beard.
Thank you, Robert. My name is Jocelyn Beard. I am a mayoral appointee. I live in Ward 4. In my day job, I work for an organization called Tubman. We are an agency that works with people around trauma and addiction. And so this is I think my second year or my second term. I'm happy to be here and welcome to everyone that has joined.
Welcome back, Jocelyn. Okay, and then I think we probably should have Robert, Neil, Justin, and Amelia if she's joined, but I'll go and take my minute. Jeffrey Strand. So I am a 43-year Minneapolis resident. Have lived in 8 different neighborhoods as a renter or homeowner. I am my pronouns are he, him. I am LGBTQ oriented and just celebrated my 1530 domestic partner marriage in Canada anniversary with my husband, Kim. And I've been on CLIC under 3 different council members. My background is management, so I have 25 years plus experience in local government management and equivalent experience on advisory boards and commissions, including the Shingle Creek Neighborhood Association where I live. So great to hear all the intros and very diverse and exciting CLIC membership. Should we flip over to CLIC support staff?
Sure, I'll go ahead and start. Okay. I'm Amelia Kruger. I'm the budget director. I just want to say thank you guys for those introductions. It was really interesting hearing where everyone is coming from. I think we've been working to facilitate getting lists together, and it was good to hear about the people that aren't here now because of all that logistics work. So I've been the budget director for a cool couple of months. I've worked at the city since late 2019. I started as the manager in the budget office then. I spent a little over 6 years at the state budget office before that, working on primarily education budgets, as well as corrections, taxes, and the judicial branch. I am also a resident of the Kingfield neighborhood in Ward 8. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to, see, there was a described order. Who's going next?
Oh, I'll jump in.
Okay, good.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert Harrison. I'll echo. It's great to see all the returning members as well as all of the new members. I've been with the city for going on 4 years at this point. I've been involved in capital projects and capital programming, capital finance, various aspects, probably for the past 10 years. And before that, I really thought I was going to get into, transportation planning, but finance keeps on pulling me back in. I've been attached to the Capital Long Range Improvement Committee for a couple of years now, and have just deeply enjoyed it. And I'll throw out that this, I've mentioned a couple of times, it's always been my intent to kind of participate in the scoring of the projects. And this year, I really mean it. I'm going to try and actually participate and score alongside everybody else what these projects, I'm going to try and score these projects alongside everybody else using the rankings. My rankings, of course, count for nothing. I am not appointed to the Capital Long Range Improvement Committee, but I want to understand how they work. And I'll turn it over to Neil Youngins. I think he's next up.
Yeah, hey, so my name is Neil Youngins. I am a senior budget and evaluation analyst in the budget office. I usually cover economic development area, so I have, I cover the convention center and CPAD and regulatory services, and I'm happy to come and support CLIC as we're moving along in the process here. Before I came, I started in the city about a year ago, or a little over a year ago. And before that, I was at the state, and I spent most of my time at the Department of Transportation, doing finance and budget work for them as well. I am a St. Paul resident, so just have to put that out there. And I'll turn it over to Justin.
Thanks, Neil. My name is Justin Carlson. My pronouns are him, his, and I come to you all as a budget and evaluation analyst in a detailed capacity. I'm a senior event coordinator over at the Minneapolis Convention Center, and with the COVID pandemic shakeup on our event schedule, I had an opportunity to join the budget office team to support CLIC this year, as well as work on the American Rescue Plan stimulus funding and the priorities for the city and spending those dollars. I appreciate being able to work in the budget office and work in finance. That's where my academic background is, finance and political science. So really enjoying the detail experience and being a part of CLIC this year as well. I will make a note, just housekeeping, as we are getting breakouts ready for later in this meeting. If you have dialed into the meeting, we're hitting an issue that we're unable to assign you to a breakout room. So as of right now, that's affecting James Brown, and I'm troubleshooting getting Eric Wan assigned a breakout room too. So stand by on if we're going to be able to get these to work. If you saw me pop up with an email earlier, trying to figure out how we're going to get the breakout rooms assigned. But thank you for your patience as we work with teams, and really happy to be a part of CLIC this year.
Excellent. As the returning chair, I just want to say thank you to all the city staff who have worked behind the scenes and in virtual meetings to make this happen. And I think we're fully on track. So kudos, thank you for the great work done. I think we're coming up to the review task force assignments part of our agenda.
No, we have a not that I raised some tea, so I'll pass. Thank you for the offer.
So Justin, are you going over this part? I see a hand up. Was that Robert?
Sure,
yeah.
I can cover that. And yeah, Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a really brief hand up. I wanted to note one question from the sidebar, just in terms of the roster and the meeting schedule. We just wanted to confirm whether or not those were updated from last week, or if they're the same from last week. I'm not sure it's urgent to answer, but definitely want to answer that question before we're done today.
Yeah, I do see that question from Steve. Thank you for asking that. The roster that was sent out in the email as a reminder to this meeting, that roster is updated as of today. We do have 3 appointments that are moving through the city council approval process. So there are 3 names on there that aren't in limbs quite yet because they do need to get approved by city council and signed off by the mayor, but they are attending the meeting so that no one's behind. We also are working with council members on filling the remaining 7 vacancies for Click, but the roster is up to date and the meeting schedule is up to date based on what was sent out in the email. As far as task force assignments, I can speak to that briefly. So transportation and human development are the 2 task forces. Those were covered a little bit at orientation and onboarding last week. There is 1 member from each ward assigned to each of the task forces, and then the mayoral members are divided equally as much as possible to each task force. Members may change task forces if it's agreed upon by both members of the ward, and by tradition, the more senior member of the ward is given first choice on the task force assignment. So what we did is we went through and honored the existing task force assignments based on returning members, and then assigned the other task force to a new member or someone filling a vacancy. If there was only 1 person from the ward, we did reach out and asked which task force they would like to join. If you have an issue with your task force assignment, they're not set in stone, they are not necessarily final. Work with the other person in your ward to see if you have an expertise in transportation or an expertise in human development and you'd like to switch task forces. Just reach out to the other person in your ward and see if that's something that can be mutually agreed upon. I know that did occur earlier today, that we did honor a change as the more senior member wanted to switch up which task force they were on. So here I do have a list of the task force assignments by ward. These are current as of this meeting. If you, again, have an issue with your assignment, please reach out to the other member of your ward, or for mayoral appointment, reach out to board staff, and we'd be happy to assist with that discussion. And I'm going to turn over to Jeff here.
Justin, just a point that typically, depending upon election outcome today, the chair and vice chair of the CLIC serve on different task force groups.
Excellent. That's a good point. And currently, that does hold true, as our current chair, Jeff, is on the transportation task force and the vice chair is on human development. So we will have elections coming up next, and depending on who gets elected to each position, we'll make sure that remains consistent as well. Any questions or comments, or Jeff, do you have anything else to speak to about the task force assignments?
I do not. So if there aren't any, then at this point, to avoid any perceived or real conflict of interest, we will turn over the gavel to the city staff to conduct the elections, nominations, and voting.
Excellent. Excellent. So just a quick review of the election process. So board staff are going to open nominations for each of the position. We'll start with CLIC chair. You may nominate another CLIC member or self-nominate. You are welcome to nominate yourself. The member must accept the nomination if you do accept someone else. Board staff will then close nominations. Each nominee will have up to 2 minutes to introduce themselves or to speak about their nomination. The clerk will then call the roll on each nomination. Roll call will go in the order of the nominations that are received, and a majority vote must be obtained for approval. Once majority vote is obtained, no more roll call votes will be held on that position. So essentially, we'll do the nomination process, the list of nominees. We hold a separate roll call vote for each nomination. If the first person that is called gets a majority, then we won't go through a roll call for each nominee. If there are any questions, feel free to raise your hand or post them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to move forward with the elections. We'll do CLIC chair, then CLIC vice chair. Our current plan is to then go through the task force chair and vice chair elections as well. But we'll start with CLIC chair and move on from there. So, no one has any questions.
It looks like John and Eric have a question. It looks like John was raising his hand first.
Okay, I did see those pop up and then go away. So John Bernstein, go ahead and share your thoughts.
John, are you on mute?
John.
Sorry, I don't have a question. I was about to do a nomination, so if that's not in order, I can wait.
Perfect. So I'll open the floor for nominations and then we'll call for them. Eric, do you have a question or a nomination?
It was going to be exactly what John said. So
All right. So let me pull up here. So I'm going to do the floor is now open for nominations for the position of chair for Click. Are there any nominations? And the first hand I see up is John Bernstein.
Thank you. So I would nominate Jeff Strand as chair of the committee.
And I would like to second that motion.
It's a motion to nominate Jeff Strand. Jeff, do you accept that nomination for chair?
I accept.
Are there any additional nominations for the position of chair for Click? This being the last call for nominations for the position of chair. All right, there is one nomination for the position of chair. I'm going to close nominations. Jeff, if you would like to speak to your nomination, you're welcome to, and then we'll move for the roll call.
I don't want to prolong the meeting, but I just want to say, as a peer colleague and equal member of this large advisory board, I humbly ask for your vote to serve another term as Click Chair. I view this role as a servant leader. My role has been to fairly and impartially facilitate the Click process, including meetings management. The virtual meetings environment was new and challenging last year, but we made it through together. If elected, I will strive to ensure that all members have equitable opportunities to share their perspectives and have their voices heard. Click has annual deliverables that are critical to the mayor, city council, and the tax-paying and rate-paying public. We must perform our work with an equity lens with an eye towards protecting planet Earth while we construct our built environment, and being ever mindful with empathy for the needs, dreams, and ability of our fellow residents to pay. So if reelected, I pledge to all Click members to faithfully execute the duties of the office consistent with the oath that we have all taken or will have taken. And I thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And I will note that I believe I called for nominations twice, and Jeff did point out that we do call for three. There are 3 calls for nominations. So I will do one last call for nominations for the position of chair. Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the nomination of Jeff Strand for chair of Click.
Thorbjorn Adam.
Aye.
John Bernstein.
Aye.
Steve Brand.
Aye.
James Brown.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Tanya DeGarmo.
Aye.
Scott Engel.
Aye.
Amity Foster.
Aye.
William Gullickson.
Aye.
Lisa Husted.
Aye.
Katie Jones.
Aye.
Matt Kacinka.
Aye.
Rich LaRoe. I'm sorry, I'll get that right. That's
Aye.
Erica Mauter.
Aye.
Dan McConnell.
Sorry. Aye.
Dan Miller.
Aye.
George Montague.
Aye.
Beth Toso.
Aye.
Todd Schumann.
Aye.
Eric Wan.
Aye.
Willie Bridges.
Aye.
And then Jeff Strand.
I'll vote present.
So with that, there's 21 ayes and 1 abstention.
All right, that motion passes. Congratulations, Jeff, on your re-election to chair. We are now going to move to the position of vice chair for Click. The floor is now open for nominations for the position of vice chair for Click. Are there any nominations? And I see a hand up, Jeff Strand.
I would nominate Willie Bridges as vice chair.
All right, there's nominations for Willie Bridges for vice chair. Willie, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Are there any additional nominations for the position of vice chair for Click? This is a last call for nominations for the position of vice chair. There is 1 nomination for the position of vice chair. Nomination period is now closed. Nominations will be considered in the following order. Willie being first. Willie, do you want to speak at all, introduce yourself, or speak to your nomination?
My feelings are that Click, this is a very important job that we have here, Click, representing the city of Minneapolis. And I strongly believe that we all have a voice at the table and that we all participate in this process. And yes, I accept this nomination.
Excellent. Thank you, Willie. With that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the nomination of Willie Bridges for the position of vice chair.
Thorbjorn Adam.
Aye.
John Bernstein.
Aye.
Steve Brandt.
Aye.
James Brown.
Aye.
Luke Cunningham.
Aye.
Tanya DeGarmo.
Aye.
Scott Engel.
Aye.
Amity Foster.
Aye.
William Gullickson.
Aye.
Lisa Husted.
Aye.
Katie Jones.
Aye.
Matt Kazinka.
Aye.
Rich LaRue.
Aye.
Well, sorry. Erica Mouter.
Aye.
Dan McConnell.
Aye.
Dan Miller.
Aye.
George Montague.
Aye.
Beth Toso.
Aye.
Aye.
Eric Wan.
Aye.
Willie Bridges. Jeff Strand.
Aye.
So that is 21 ayes and 1 abstention.
All right, with that, that motion passes. Congratulations, Willie, on your re-election to the position of vice chair for Click.
Thank you.
We are going to move forward to the position of chair for the task force, transportation task force. Just a clerical note, the roll call will be based on who serves on the task force, so only the members of the transportation task force will be voting on these nominations. Steve, do you have a nomination or do you have a question?
I nominate John Bernstein.
All right, the floor being open for nominations for the position of transportation chair for Click. John, do you accept the nomination for transportation chair?
I do.
Are there additional nominations for the position of transportation task force chair? This is the last call for nominations for the position of transportation task force chair. With that, nominations will be closed. There's 1 nomination. John, would you like to speak to your nomination?
Sure. I'll just briefly say that I will pledge to continue to run the Transportation Task Force as I have in the past, which is to take very seriously the work that we have to do and make sure that we are able to do that work in a thoughtful, high-quality way. And I try to balance that with running the meetings as efficiently as possible, at the same time making sure that no one ever feels like they didn't get a chance to say what their piece and participate fully.
So, thank you, John. With that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the nomination of John Bernstein for the position of Transportation Task Force Chair.
Thorbjorn Adam.
Aye.
Bernstein.
I'll abstain.
Steve Brandt.
Aye.
Sonia DeGarmo.
Aye.
Engel.
Aye.
Amity Foster.
Aye.
Risa Hustad.
Aye.
Katie Jones.
Aye.
Matt Kazinka.
Aye.
Erica Mauter.
Aye.
Dan McConnell.
Aye.
Rich LaRoe.
I believe I'm on the other committee.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I've.
Yeah, Is Erica HD?
Let's see. So let's see. Dan Miller.
Aye.
George Montague.
Aye.
Todd Schumann.
Aye.
Jeff Strand.
Aye.
So it looks like 12 ayes and 1 abstention.
With that, the motion passes. Congratulations, John, on your re-election to Transportation Task Force Chair. All right, the floor is now open for nominations for the position of Transportation Task Force Vice Chair for Click. Are there any nominations? I recognize John Bernstein.
I would nominate Katie Jones.
Katie, do you accept the nomination for Vice Chair?
I do.
Are there any additional nominations for the position of Transportation Task Force Vice Chair? It's been the last call for nominations for the position of Vice Chair for the Transportation Task Force. Those nominations are closed. There is one nomination. Katie, would you like to speak to your nomination?
Sure, yes. So this would be my second year in serving in this position, and I would continue to try to make sure that everyone's voices are heard during our committee meetings, noting that there is a lot of information that and a lot of detail that goes through these projects that we review, and making sure everyone is able to understand what's going on, because I know it took me a while to get on board with that, and want to make sure that everyone else is able to keep up, just as I know people helped me when I first got started with this task force. So yeah, I'll continue to fill in when John is not available, and take the reins when necessary.
Thank you, Katie. With that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the nomination of Katie Jones for the position of Transportation Vice Chair.
Thorbjorn Adam.
Aye.
Bernstein.
Aye.
Steve Brandt.
Aye.
Sonia DeGarmo.
Aye.
Engel.
Aye.
Amity Foster.
Aye.
Risa Hustad.
Aye.
Katie Jones.
Abstain.
Matt Kazinka.
Aye.
Dan Miller.
Aye.
It's
George
1 o'clock.
Montague.
Aye.
Schumann.
Aye.
Jeff Strand.
Aye.
That's 12 ayes and 1 abstention.
All right, that motion passes. Congratulations, Katie, on your re-election to Vice Chair of the Transportation Task Force. I'm going to move on to the, I'll just open the floor. The floor is now open for the nominations for the position of Chair of the Human Development Task Force for Click. Are there any nominations for Chair?
I nominate, my hand's not going up, but I nominate Eric.
All right, that was a nomination from Willie Bridges for Eric Wan to serve as chair. Eric, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I do.
All right. Are there any additional nominations for the position of Human Development Task Force Chair? This is the last call for nominations for the position of Chair of the Human Development Task Force. With that, nominations are now closed. Eric, would you like to speak to your nomination?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to ask for your vote today. Having served as the vice chair under Raya Ismaili, I learned a great deal, and I hope to be able to continue serving in the style and capacity that we served during the last 2 years. I do plan and expect to be as inclusive as possible of the views of everyone on the task force, as well as assist any task force members in securing more information from the budget proposers, such as the department heads, when there are questions about their submissions. With that, I'd like to ask for your vote.
Thanks, Eric. And with that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the nomination of Eric Wan for the position of Human Development Task Force Chair.
James Brown.
Aye.
Luke Cunningham.
Aye.
William Gullickson. William Gullickson. Rich LaRoe.
Aye.
Erica Mouter.
Aye.
Ann McConnell.
Aye.
Beth Toso.
Aye.
Eric Wan.
I abstain.
Willie Bridges.
Aye.
William Gullickson. Okay. So we have seven ayes and 1 abstention.
All right, that motion passes. Congratulations, Eric, on your re-election to Chair of the Human Development Task Force. We have one final position to consider. The floor is now open for nominations for the position of Vice Chair for the Human Development Task Force. Are there any nominations?
Again, my hand will go up. I nominate Jocelyn Beer.
Jocelyn, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do.
Are there any additional nominations for the position of Vice Chair of the Human Development Task Force? Last call for nominations for the position of Vice Chair of the Human Development Task Force. All right, we are going to close nominations. And Jocelyn, do you want to speak to your nomination?
Sure. Thank you for the nomination. I have learned a great deal while being on the Human Development Task Force, and it would be my pleasure to serve as the vice chair as we do the work to support our community in this way.
All right, thank you, Jocelyn. With that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the nomination of Jocelyn Beard for the position of Vice Chair of the Human Development Task Force.
All right, James Brown.
Aye.
Ham. Luke Cunningham.
Aye.
William Gullickson. William Gullickson. Richard LaRoe.
Aye.
Erica Mouter.
Aye.
Dan McConnell. Dan McConnell.
Aye.
Toso.
Aye.
Eric Wan.
Aye.
Willie Bridges.
Aye.
So that's 8 ayes and, 8 ayes.
All right, that motion passes. Jocelyn, I know you and I are working on getting you into the LIMS system so that a motion will be effective as of your official approval in LIMS, but thank you for allowing us to go through that process. With that, all members of the executive committee, all the positions have been filled. So appreciate everyone participating in the election process.
Thanks, Justin. Very professionally organized in consultation with the city clerk's office. So thank you. We're now looking at the next item on the agenda is a presentation of the CLIC capital guidelines review. And then following that, and since we're at 1:08 p.m., we should, will we go right from your presentation to the breakout room? Should I wait until after the presentation and then read the adjournment statement?
Yep, I'll pull up the capital guidelines. If you and Robert can also speak to the guidelines, if we want to just walk through what the guidelines are and kind of preview the steps for reviewing the capital budget requests, we can do that. And then we are going to go to the breakout room. So we'll do the adjournment and then go to the breakout rooms after you go through the guidelines. And I will pull those up right now.
And I'm sorry, this is Robert, Justin, and Jeff. I've got the sirens going off next to me here. Did you want me to jump in with the
Robert.
introduction? Okay.
Yes, we talked about this a little bit in our orientation onboarding, but
okay,
Robert, having another presenter perspective will be great. And I know the task force groups will probably no doubt touch on it as well.
Yeah. So just to make it as clear cut as possible, the Capital Long Range Improvement Committee uses these capital guidelines, which are updated periodically by the CLIC body to evaluate all of the capital budget requests that the city receives each year. We have a couple of major, I guess, components to the capital guidelines that I can walk through, but really the idea is to apply the same criteria across all of the projects in order to provide basically scores and rankings for these projects that can then be used to inform the development of a balanced capital improvement program, which we'll see later on this year. And so what we have up here is the capital guidelines document. But what I'm wondering, and I see, is that a hand up or somebody needs to join the meeting again? Okay. If you have any questions as I go along, please feel free to jump in. I think one of the most useful pieces for orienting the group is actually going to be the scoring sheet for now. Justin, if you're in control of this, would you be able to scroll down to the that final sheet here? Yes. So this is going to look pretty similar to what all of the CLIC members are going to see. And please, any returning members, feel free to jump in. But this is essentially the scoring sheet that gets used. And for each project, we have a number of well-developed criteria that are described in detail in the capital guidelines, kind of up top in the document. But when we get down to brass tacks, what we're going to see is each of the projects lined up in a spreadsheet essentially, and Click members are tasked with the work of going through each of those projects and applying those criteria and giving scores. And this right here is kind of a breakdown of what those scores are going to look like. Click members go through this project priority category that evaluates the level of need of the project. Projects also receive points if they've, been queued up for some time and therefore are more likely to have received additional consideration and planning and coordination as part of the work. A little bit further down, we have a contribution to city goals category, and we evaluate whether or not projects are likely to be making strong contribution toward the city's adopted city goals. And we have a number of qualitative criteria at the bottom. I'm sorry, I skipped over operating costs and savings too. So we have an operating costs or savings category wherein we evaluate, essentially the financial implications or some of the financial implications of the projects, whether or not they're going to result in additional burden on the city or if they're going to alleviate, ongoing maintenance costs. And I think the idea is to get at those projects that are kind of coming in at that sweet spot of, now is the time to replace it. Otherwise, maintenance costs are going to be up, whereas, some projects may or may not be able to score that well in that area. And then, as I mentioned,
Robert,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Rich has his hand up if you want to jump to a question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a question. It's about the logistics here. This is one of a few presentation slides I've seen that's effectively too small to read. Is this material either available to us before these meetings, or is there a method to enlarge these in a way that they can be read?
Yeah, we do typically try and get these out before the meetings. I'm just not sure if we had the time and the capacity to get this one out, and so we're really going through a preview. So I apologize that we didn't necessarily forecast that we'd be working through a lot of this stuff.
It was sent out.
I'm sorry, Robert.
Page 9.
Oh,
yep.
Thank you.
The Click guidelines. This was sent out this morning, and the reminder email as an attachment.
Mm-hmm. Page 9 in the Click guidelines document.
Thank you.
Okay. So, everybody should have a copy of this at some point. We certainly make efforts and take pains to distribute documents as they're needed closer to the actual work that Click is going to start undertaking. And so we'll be distributing a lot of these documents again. And so you may yet see them come through purely for convenience. So this is the core of the ranking work right here. This document should look really familiar to returning Click members, because this is kind of how it's laid out. And for new Click members, eventually, we're not there yet, but eventually once we get all of our capital budget requests, we'll also be disseminating basically a ranking spreadsheet. It needs to be updated from last year. But we'll be distributing a ranking spreadsheet that Click members can use to facilitate their scoring process. And so, Justin, would it be possible for me to take control of the presentation just for a moment? Because I can actually show what that spreadsheet looks like. If not, that's okay. Everybody's going to see it. I was just thinking that giving a quick preview might be a good idea.
Yep, no, you should have
sure.
control now. And that
So I'm going to share
troubleshooting, getting everyone ready for the breakouts.
So again, we're going to have a problem with the Zoom on this. Returning Click members may be familiar enough to kind of know where it is. Newer Click members, may find that this is a little bit bulky, but nobody needs to absolutely understand this and grasp it right now. This is just one of the tools that we make available so that Click members have some way to, I think, stay organized as we go through the ranking process. But essentially, on the left-hand side of this table that we've got up on the screen here, you can see those categories that we have in the capital guidelines: project priority, contribution to city goals, and qualitative criteria. And then up across the top of this workbook that we have all of the different projects that we have, so that CLIC members have a tool to say, okay, what am I evaluating right here? Which of the capital guidelines am I really working through right now? And what projects am I talking about? I'm going to take this off the screen now because it is a lot to look at and is probably more in the weeds than we need to get into right now. But this is I think this is a really good preview of some of the work that we look at over the course of the year. Regarding the actual capital guidelines, Justin, can I turn the presentation back over to you? And would you be able to bring those capital guidelines back up on the screen? Yeah. So I won't spend time going through each and every one of these, but I'll provide a general commentary that, returning CLIC members are probably fairly familiar with these capital guidelines. There was an update last year, and it probably behooves everybody who's joining CLIC, new or returning, to do a review of the capital guidelines and make sure that they're familiar with the content of the capital guidelines, because there were a few updates from last year. These are certainly going to inform the scores that everybody's going to be working through. And then these capital guidelines combined with some of the tools that we make available, primarily the workbook that we send out, should make it relatively easy for our CLIC members to work through the scores across projects. There was an additional point I wanted to make. Consistency across capital guidelines. I know that Jeff and members who've actually been through the scoring process, I may have mentioned that I have not been through the scoring process myself, or at least attempted to complete the scores. But the capital guidelines are essentially here to ensure that we're being consistent across the scores. So as we look at one project, perhaps a paving project, we can apply the guidelines consistently across, various paving projects. And then, if you're looking at water infrastructure projects, potentially the guidelines should help CLIC members apply criteria in a very similar way across, various water infrastructure projects as well. And so, at the end of the day, individual CLIC members may have, a fair range of scores, especially in comparison to other CLIC members. But the idea is that as long as members are reasonably consistent within their own scoring and have, used these tools to the best of their ability, what we end up with at the end of the day are rankings from the full body of CLIC membership that really do help us inform and put together as a body that CLIC recommended capital improvement program that eventually gets advanced to the mayor's office as the recommended CIP for the body. Jeff, is that a high enough level summary of the capital guidelines? I just wanted to introduce them so folks understood they'd have this document on the capital guidelines that kind of breaks out and provides additional detail on that. There's a lot of descriptive information. And then I wanted to connect it to the scoring sheet because members will, that's the gap, we'll be working through the capital guidelines document, and then you'll see that scoring sheet and it'll have all the projects there. And everybody kind of goes through that process. There's some more specifics with regard to how the task forces work through things that actually reduces some of the work that individual CLIC members have to do. But that'll probably come down the pike a little bit later.
I think that's great. We did touch on it in the orientation, and then again today, and then people have the document in their email, and I'm sure we'll hit it like 4 or 5 more times so we hit that magic 7 reviews of the document. So it's 20 after 1. Want to make sure we have time for the breakout sessions if they work for the task force leaders to talk about their task force work. I just want to make sure that I'd like to ask the city staff just to maybe the executive committee and the city, we can talk, but I want members to know a little bit more details about the full day sessions. If those are being fully recorded, if we're having an abbreviated Q&A, was it going to be morning, afternoon, or is it really going to be 8 to 4:30? I don't think so, but we'll get more details on that for the next meeting. And
yep,
we
I
can
think that's
always
a great plan.
Okay. And we can always
And
find more time, maybe at the 14th, even though we have the political leaders, maybe we have a few more minutes to answer questions on the guidelines again. So
sure, we'll make
thanks.
a note to add that to the agenda. We'll preview the presentation days, cover the schedule in more detail, and then I think all of those items can be addressed at our next meeting. John, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I have a request that I've made in past years, and since it hasn't gotten very far, this seems like it might be a good time to do it, especially with new city staff. This committee is an incredibly impressive array of experience among our now 22 members, hopefully headed for 33. And I find it really helpful to know a little bit about people's backgrounds, particularly, their areas of expertise from work and that sort of thing. It can be really useful when we're in the Q&A sessions and in the task force meetings and all the rest of it. And for years, I've asked that city staff assemble a biographical sheet where each member is asked to just write a couple of sentences about, just like we did in the introduction, so people can refer to that. I would love to see that get assembled this year. And so I'll just make an informal request at this point for that.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, John. And Robert. Robert, I know you had your hand up. I know you're also muted. Did you have something? There we go.
Sorry, I was coughing through most of that anyway. I just wanted to respond and maybe just ask what might be the easiest way, or maybe we can just explore what the easiest way might be between now and then to compile the document. It seems like if CLIC members are already aware of where they're, obviously aware of what their various strengths and interests are, they might be able to, even submit some information that we could easily compile as part of our documentation for the 2020, 2021, 2022 CLIC membership.
All the applications are in limbs. I know that may vary with what's the content, but we'll take John's request and see what can be done. 124, so maybe we should be moving on, and we'll certainly try to get that request met, John.
Yep, I agree with that. And then I'd also mention Katie had a note in the chat about vacancies. I can send out additional information. Some of those vacancies are pending council approval that we're just waiting to go through the process. So we'll touch base on both of those. What's going to happen now, Jeff is going to adjourn the meeting, basically contingent on it'll end at the end of the breakout rooms. Okay. The transportation breakout room is going to go to a separate room, and because we're having technical difficulties, we're going to keep the human development team in this room. So human development folks are going to stay right here, and then Eric can be a participant in that, and transportation will move. I'll have Jeff read his adjournment, and then the transportation task force will automatically happen.
Great. With that, we've completed all items of the agenda for this meeting, with the exception of the task force breakout rooms as noted. I'll ask members and staff if there are any other items to come before this meeting. Seeing none, if not, and without objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned at the conclusion of the task force breakout rooms. Our next meeting of CLIC will be on Wednesday, April 14th, 2021, from noon to 1:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone. So now we don't disconnect, we just wait for the breakout unless you're in HD. Okay, thank you.
Yes, at this time, the breakout room for transportation will open, and you automatically will be sent into that room.